My name is Elena Marquez, and for most of my life, I believed that my family was everything. My shelter, my pride, my world. We weren't rich, but we were close. My father, Rafael, ran a small import business. My mother, Isabella, was the glue that held us together. And my brother, Miguel, well, I thought he was my protector. I was wrong. It all started the day I turned 25. I had just returned from a business trip abroad, excited to share my promotion with my family. But the moment I walked into the house, something felt off. There was too quiet. My mother sat at the kitchen table, staring at a letter she clutched with trembling hands. My father was unusually tense, pacing back and forth. And Miguel, he greeted me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Happy birthday, Elena," Miguel said, voice smooth but hollow. "We have a surprise for you." I felt a chill down my spine. Something about the house smelled wrong, like the faint trace of burned paper and regret. "Mom? Dad?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's going on?" My father finally stopped pacing. His hands shook as he handed me an envelope. The handwriting was mine. My own signature on a document I didn't remember signing. "Your inheritance," he began, his voice cracking. It's been transferred." Transferred? My heart thudded painfully. My father avoided my gaze. My mother's tears were silent but sharp. And Miguel, he just watched me, the hidden predator behind a brotherly mask. I opened the envelope. My family's betrayal hit me like a punch to the chest. Every hard-earned cent, every property, everything my parents had promised me in trust, gone. Miguel had orchestrated it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But most of all, I wanted revenge. That night, as I lay in bed pretending to sleep while tears streaked my cheeks, a cold, dangerous thought took root. In my mind, betrayal like this didn't go unanswered. Not by me. I would make them regret it. Every smile, every lie, every moment they thought I was powerless, I would turn it against them. And I would start with Miguel. The next morning, the house felt like a prison. Every laugh, every clatter of dishes, every casual word from my family was a reminder that they had betrayed me. But beneath the anger, something darker stirred. Calm, patient, deliberate. I spent the day watching them, learning their routines. Miguel left for work around 8 a.m., always locking the front door behind him. My parents were predictable, mother in the garden, father in his study, both oblivious to the storm brewing in me. I didn't confront them, not yet. I knew I needed patience. Revenge, I realized, was an art. It required precision, timing, and cruelty measured like a scalpel. I started small. I needed leverage. First, I accessed Miguel's laptop while he was at work. His arrogance was his weakness. He always left it unlocked, confident that I had no idea how to use his passwords. Within minutes, I found evidence, shady business deals, forged documents, even a hidden offshore account linked to our family's wealth. I smiled. Patience was paying off. That evening, I joined my parents in the living room. They were nervous, as if they could sense my silent storm. I poured tea, smiled, made small talk, but inside, I was a predator circling its prey. "Everything okay?" my mother asked, glancing at me with worry. I nodded, sweetly, perfectly. I want us to be happy again." I could see the guilt in their eyes. It was delicious. They had underestimated me. They thought tears and apologies could erase the betrayal. They didn't know I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was something else. Someone patient, calculated, dangerous. By the time Miguel returned home that night, I had a plan forming. His pride, his arrogance, his false sense of security, these would be the tools I used. Every lie he had spun, every manipulation would turn against him. I would hit him where it hurt most. His reputation, his friends, his empire. And when he begged for mercy, I would be ready. Revenge, I realized, wasn't just about money. It was about power, humiliation, and the cold satisfaction of making them feel what they had forced me to feel. And the quiet storm inside me was only beginning. Days passed, and I moved like a shadow through the house. Silence, unnoticed, but always watching. Every smile Miguel gave me, every boastful story he told my parents only fueled the fire inside me. Revenge, I realized, had to be strategic. It had to sting, but not too soon. I chose my first target, Miguel's closest friend, Javier. He was the one Miguel bragged to the most, the one who validated every reckless decision, every betrayal. I knew if I could shake that foundation, Miguel would start to crumble. I used the information I had stolen from Miguel's laptop to send anonymous messages to Javier. Carefully worded emails hinted at Miguel's secret dealings, embezzlement, fraud, even rumors that he had been using the family's money to fund illegal ventures. I watched from the living room as Miguel returned home that evening. His confident stride faltered as his phone buzzed incessantly. He ignored it at first, then his hands trembled as he read the messages. "What the... Javier, no, it can't be." I poured myself a glass of wine, pretending to be calm. My mother glanced at me, puzzled by his sudden agitation. My father frowned, but neither dared ask. Miguel's face was a storm of confusion and anger, and I felt a thrill I hadn't known in years. "Is everything okay, Miguel?" I asked sweetly, placing my hand on his shoulder. He shook me off. It's nothing. Just forget it." I let him stew in silence, knowing the seed of doubt had been planted. Javier would confront him. Doubt would grow, and his friends and business associates would start questioning his loyalty and judgment. That night, I stayed awake, listening to Miguel pacing in his room. Every step, every muttered curse was music to my ears. He was unraveling, and it was only the beginning. I realized revenge was intoxicating, not just for the satisfaction of justice, but for the power it gave me over those who had once controlled me. My family had thought they could betray me and walk away untouched. They had no idea the storm they had awakened, and the storm had a name, Elena Marquez. The next morning, I watched Miguel leave for work with a subtle smile. He was still shaken from the messages to Javier, unaware that I was the architect of his unraveling. I knew the first strike would only work if it was followed by a calculated chain reaction. I had one advantage he didn't: patience. While Miguel acted impulsively, I moved with precision. I accessed his business emails, subtly forwarding confidential documents to the wrong recipients, leaking sensitive information just enough to cause confusion and mistrust among his partners. Small errors, easily blamed on him, but enough to make his empire start showing cracks. By midday, the first signs appeared. Phone calls from McGill's office flooded with angry clients and associates. His staff whispered behind closed doors, looking at him with suspicion, and the look on his face when he returned home, angry, frustrated, cornered, was intoxicating. "Everything's falling apart," he muttered to himself in the kitchen, pacing like a caged animal. My parents watched silently, the guilt on their faces more obvious than ever. I poured myself a cup of coffee, leaning casually against the counter. I've been thinking a lot about trust lately, about family. McGill stiffened, clearly sensing where this conversation was headed. I continued, my voice calm but laced with venom. "It's strange how fragile it can be, how easily it can be broken by someone you thought would always protect you." My mother looked confused, my father's brow furrowed. Miguel's face turned pale.
"What are you talking about, Elena?" he demanded, his voice sharp, defensive. I leaned back, taking a slow sip of wine, letting the words sink in. "I'm talking about betrayal, about how one person in this family decided to take what wasn't theirs and thought they could get away with it." His eyes darted to my parents, then back to me. Fear and panic mingled with anger, and it was beautiful. "I know about the money," I said softly, almost like a whisper. "I know about the inheritance, the secret accounts, everything you've done behind our backs." Miguel's hands shook. "Elena, you don't know what you're saying." "Oh, I know, and I know exactly what I'm going to do about it." I could see it, the first crack in his facade. The man who had once believed he controlled everything was now trapped, exposed, vulnerable. And for the first time in years, I felt complete control. "Revenge," I said, my eyes locked in his, "isn't about anger. It's about teaching someone what it feels like to lose everything, slowly, painfully, and without mercy." Miguel's face went white, and he slumped into his chair, powerless. For the first time, he understood that I was no longer the little sister he could manipulate or betray. I was the storm he could never escape. And the storm had only just begun. The days following the dinner were a nightmare for Miguel. I watched from the shadows as every relationship he had built began to crumble. Business partners called, demanding answers. Friends stopped returning his calls. Even my parents, once loyal to him blindly, began questioning everything he had done. It wasn't enough to ruin him financially. I wanted him to feel the weight of betrayal reflected back at him. So I turned my next move inward, towards the family itself. One evening, I called Miguel into the study under the pretense of discussing family matters. He entered cautiously, expecting another confrontation. But I had prepared something more devastating. I laid out all the evidence I had gathered: bank statements, emails, forged documents, all the proof of his secret dealings, hidden accounts, and the manipulations he had orchestrated against our family. Every lie he had told was now exposed in black and white. His face went pale, and he sank into the chair opposite me. "Elena, you can't. This isn't real." "Oh, it's real. And it's the reality you created for yourself. You thought you could take everything from me, from us, and walk away untouched. But this is your world now, shattered by your own hands." I watched as the last vestiges of his arrogance crumbled. The man who had once smiled behind a mask of confidence was broken, trembling, and desperate. You're insane," he whispered. "How could you do this?" I leaned forward, my eyes burning. "I'm not insane. I'm patient, I'm careful, and I don't forgive betrayal, not from family." My parents stood silently behind me, the guilt etched into their faces. They had believed Miguel's lies, had trusted him blindly, and now they were forced to confront the truth.
For the first time, the house felt still. The air was thick with realization. Miguel's empire, his lies, his control, all gone. And he had only himself to blame. As I left the study that night, I felt a strange sense of peace. Revenge had been exacted. Justice had been served. And the storm I had become had left nothing but ruin in its wake. I had learned a lesson the hard way. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from those you love. But revenge is its own kind of justice, and it can be beautiful in its finality. Miguel never recovered. Our parents, forever scarred by the truth, learned to fear deceit more than they feared anything else. And I became someone they would never dare cross again. Because some storms, once awakened, cannot be stopped. Have you ever trusted someone you loved only to have them betray you in the worst way? In today's story, we follow Elena, a young woman whose family hides dark secrets, leading her down a path of revenge, patience, and ultimate justice. In this gripping tale of trust, lies, and betrayal, witness how one act of treachery can destroy everything and how the consequences of betrayal can be far more devastating than anyone could imagine. Join us on Polygon of Life as we explore the shadows of family secrets, the complexities of revenge, and the harsh truths that life sometimes forces us to face. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intense real-life stories of betrayal, revenge, and life's toughest lessons.